Hey guys, it's Matt. Definitely need a follow-up video to yesterday's Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities because I didn't even get to the most important part. It just was getting too long and I wasn't prepared to give this part of the presentation, which has to be attached to the last video. And I just will start by asking you, how many people did the 3 steps regarding the last video? How many people followed through the 3 steps? And I'll go over, of course, what they are if you don't know what I'm talking about, which is how many people did the only thing that's important in the truth pursuit. Excuse me. The only thing that's important in the truth pursuit is applying the 3 steps. How many people took a minute to think about it or thought about it more than just a few times in passing during the last video? How many people took 5 minutes to really think about it? I would say less than 5% of you did, or almost no one did. And I would like to remind you, and I feel strongly about this, if you don't do this in every truth video you watch, first of all, the truth channel should be doing it. We've come far enough where we should have a sense as to what we need to do to not be used, manipulated, and played. But if the truth channel is not doing it, then take it upon yourself to make the entire truth video you watch worthwhile and not a spinning hamster wheel exercise, and do it yourself. So step one, is there, can you see the trick? Is reality itself playing a trick in some way? And we'll relate this to the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities. Does it want me to believe something that didn't happen? What does it want me to do? Is it trying to fool me? So essentially, again, the number one, people in this community, we have it covered. This is what we're good at. We can say, I can see the trick. This is fake, or this presentation is real, or what Elon Musk says he's doing, he's not doing, and we're okay. We've got that one covered. We're very good at that. So in terms of the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities, most people watching, yeah, this can't possibly be real. There's no way that there can be all these coincidences. I don't believe once something gets over 1 in a billion, I don't believe it's possible. We all kind of in the same boat there. Step two, what kind of reality could pull something like this off? And step two is it might be the biggest trap of all, especially where we've evolved to in the truth community. Step two is the biggest trap of all. It knows, it knows potentially we're not going to be trapped at step one forever. So it will try to trap us at step two. What kind of reality could pull this off? And this is where we spin our wheels and just endless theories and things like that. So you immediately have to get to step three. What all of this that's happening and what kind of reality can do this? What does it tell me about who I really am? The timeless being or entity or spiritual being that I really am, which of course it leads you to that. It leads you to realize certain things about yourself, because if you don't know who you really are, if you can't find it yourself, which we should be able to find it ourselves, they give it away. These minions, these a-holes, give it away to us. But in terms of the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities, it really wants us, or the reality, to be very pleased to trap us at step two. So we all say, okay, this is ridiculous. 1 in a trillion coincidence, both VPs named Johnson. I mean, just endless connections, endless 6 or 7 degrees or whatever to Kevin's bacon and all this stuff. So then they want us trapped. They're fine with us seeing the trick there. Maybe eventually they figured we would see the trick in most of these areas. Remember, they laid the breadcrumbs down on purpose. They laid the mistakes down in the events on purpose so we would notice. Then they probably hope the trap comes where we stay at number two for our whole lives. Well, what's really going on here? See, this is where this is pointless. Okay, this is pointless, but this is what it wants. How many of you, per the last video, applied the 3 steps? What's going on here? And let's debate this endlessly. Well, yeah, it's just too much. A plot or a script of some kind playing out over 100 years, connecting the assassinations of 2 presidents. Would normal human beings be able to coordinate that? And who laid that down and why? And did Albert Pike have anything to say about it? And well, it's not human. Well, how are they doing it if it's not human? Does it relate to the Mandela effect? and what reality buttons and levers do they actually have their hands on to be able to pull something like that off? And is it, well, is it, if it matrix and fluid reality, then it can do whatever it wants, and it wants us on step two forever. There is we could sit around a round table and debate, and it would be, and I'm not saying not to do step two, just do it in the right light, in the right frame of mind. Just do it for fun. If that's what it's like a Dungeons and Dragons club I was in when in eighth grade. I keep mentioning that. In middle school, we were in a Dungeons and Dragons club every other week, a homeroom, a free period or something. We go play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know, like a role playing game or whatever. I don't know why I keep saying that and remember that, but usually because I'm saying that Dungeons and Dragons club and the brain power that was in it could, put better movie plots together than what Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan, again, Johnson, here we go, Ryan Johnson, put forth in the new Star Wars series. But if we're just, with our peeps, it's fun to debate or to talk about how could the reality itself pull this off. In general, it's mind-boggling, but just looking at Kennedy to Lincoln, connecting the two assassinations in such a way where it actually the reality produces centers for the performing arts in each of their names. And some people would say less filling, tastes great, Matrix. It's all, this is a digital environment. We're in a Sims. There's no way regular people could just call that in and they could write little notes for their predecessors and for the next people in the Illuminati. It's like one shift going out and the other shift coming in. For those coming into the Illuminati Control Center and the Chernobyl Center, here's what we've already set in motion. Your job is to follow it through, connect this assassination with that. It's of course it's beyond what regular people could do, and people calling it in, and then you say, well, it's not human, and then here come the Palladians, and here come the aliens, and interdimensional intelligence is somehow involved with the political structure. See, just step two. It wants us running around this hamster wheel forever. It knows smart people will go past the trick, step one, and then get stuck on part two. I think the only thing that's important, what kind of reality could pull that shit off? Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities. Like we need to see one more thing. All you need to come forth is just something that's, one, not real. What does that mean? It doesn't matter. Something that's not real, something that's not, the reality itself is not what it's presented to be by any sort of authority or textbook or history book. And it's something that wants to get something from you, a reality that needs something from you. Thus, the definition of a trick. Why does one play a trick? It needs the trickster needs the person getting the trick played on them needs to do something they wouldn't normally do if the trick wasn't being played. So then we can get stuck at step two forever again. Well, that means energy harvesting, right? Well, yeah, probably, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, again, this is this endless debate. It's step three, where once again it's just all of these endless tricks, impossible coordination, impossible synchronicities, all of these minions running around trying to get you to believe something, trying to get you to accept the trick, to fall for the trick. Well, step three. Why would they be running around? And the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities is just one thing of the millions and millions of tricks they play. And they'll play trick on the news tonight in the presentation. They'll play a trick presenting fake history. Like all these minions running around and all these people that you would think were in on it but aren't in on it. They're just playing the role, like historians of today, just playing the role without being aware of it or being in on it. What are all these minions? What's the trick for? Why are they so interested in me falling for it, or getting interested in me taking myself or my consciousness into a certain place, or putting my frequency or into a certain place? Why are they so interested in what seems to be devolving me? Well, I must be a very, very powerful, timeless being if all of these minions are running around playing all these tricks. It doesn't make much sense, does it, if it's just the atheist definition? It's just a flesh and you go to the dirt. They wouldn't be doing all this. So they give it away. Been over that a million times. But nothing is more important in this existence, in my opinion, than coming to that understanding, and an understanding that they give you. They give it away. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Give it away, give it away now. So, did you watch here's Matt, Quantum of Conscience, presenting a truth video. Oh, it's so interesting and fascinating. The Kennedy Lincoln synchronicities. How many people did the 3 steps? And someone said, Matt, I already know the 3 steps. Okay, but just then, if you know this, just at least take 30 seconds. If anything, we need to cement this mentality and then cement it again and cement it again. This is a formidable group we're up against. Because they haven't gotten to me now, they can never get to me. Oh, who knows? We have to. It's like a kung fu master will continue to practice their kung fu. You have to keep ahead of these a-holes. So if you already know the answer, fine. Then just take 30 seconds. The 3 steps. Look at Matt's video just ended. The Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities. Impossible, just absolutely mind-boggling how the connections run that deep. Step 2, what kind of reality could pull that off? It's a joke. There's nothing, no real world could pull that off. No regular people making phone calls could pull. And then, okay, well, then that reminds me, it's wanting me to believe a certain thing for a reason. Whether it harvests my energy or whatever it gets out of it, it can only get something out of it if I am a powerful MRFer. Oh, that's ultimately why I watched Matt's video about the Kennedy to Lincoln synchronicities. If you didn't say that to yourself, then you're missing an opportunity. Okay, you have to do this. There's nothing that's, I would say, more important. There's nothing that even has importance compared to this. That's why the whole truth community and what they'll give us, they give everything away. They want us on these endless animal farms. They want us spinning our wheels, saying, oh no, Matt, you're underestimating Anunnaki and what archons can do. They can coordinate that stuff. And well, maybe that's correct, but who cares? The only matters is what does that remind us we are ourselves? And if you keep reminding yourself of that, there's no fear of death. I was talking with Mitch the other night, and hopefully I've linked to a few of his videos. I'd like to link some more, and he needs to make a few more videos before I recommend the channel. But Mitch and I came up with that we have to change this whole world is an inversion. The whole world is backwards. So why wouldn't we think? And this is obviously I'm just mostly taking this from Levette's good ideas, but the way we put it I think was very interesting. Levette says no, it's the whole world's an inversion. So this is basically death. You're born. You came into death. This isn't life. The pinnacle. This is the lowest of the low. So Mitch and I came up with. Why did we, they want us to fear death. They want us to dread death. They want us to, you just say on the day of my life, the day of your death, who's calling me every time, right? Oh boy. On the day of my life, my Matrix friend, right in the middle of the video, an important video. So you say, here's what my mindset needs to be, or where I need to be spiritually on the day of my life. I'm going to just start saying it every day, the day of my life. The day of my death, when it happens, I will be convinced this is the day of my life. And it's not wishful thinking. Absolutely not. The more you study the dark reality, the more, Levette's initial concept and, being able to see through her third eye, she's saying everything here is inverted, so this is death. And what do they want you to, some of my theories, what they constantly work you over, one of the tricks of reality, so you fear death, and it's so horrible and sad, and it's you fear it, and that's all these horror movies, and just run, you're gonna die. There's nothing worse than dying, nothing worse. The whole reality is set up. You're running from Jason, he's with his axe, and oh my God, that person could actually die. That's horrible. It's like, wait a second. If you thought of on the day of when you die, the day, that's not the day of your death, the day of my life, the day you get your life back. Probably. I mean, I can't. Maybe I'll never get to 100% sure. I mean, the inner knowing is telling me that. So Mitch and I are going to on the day of my life. whenever that comes. And the evidence, when you look at the evidence properly, is overwhelming that that's the case. Not that, because again, even if you don't know any better, the reality gives it away. And if anybody's screaming at their computer going, is he suggesting that's what horror movies are for? Maybe. I mean, they've done business in stranger ways. Now, I think that's what horror movies are for, and every director is in on it in the Eyes Wide Shut party? No. We'll talk about how just the wishes of reality flows through artists and directors and movie producers and musicians, and the underlying wishes of what the reality wants your spiritual self to know also flows through art. And without the directors being in it, or perhaps for what reasons we don't understand, they have to put out the good message, like in Dances with Wolves. They have to put out the great message from time to time. There's a lot of different theories and things we could discuss there, but again, that's where step two. Fun to do it. If somebody's watching this Saturday night, having a few beers, fun to do it. Don't always, even in this video about the 3 steps, spend 30 seconds to do the 3 steps. Horror movies, they whatever what no, I'm not saying it's somehow things just happen, but in the end of the day, do I sense that this, when you watch a horror movie, somebody running for their life, and there's preserving life is so important, and how many movies are about this, right? Preserving an attachment to this world is so important. If I might fully believe that the day of my death will be the day of my life. And Jason comes running around the corner with an axe and a hockey mask, I'd probably run too. I'd be like, "Oh, thank you, just take me. I want the day of my life." It's natural in the Avatar, preserve life. I mean, it's natural. We're in this Avatar. The primitive needs. We can't shed who we are. I'd run from Jason too, but I don't. There is some point. There is some point where it is not worth extraordinary measures to preserve life. There's no escaping it anyway, and it again, is it why we have to deprogram our minds and thinking the way it said that there's no escaping it anyway. There's no escaping that horror anyway. Reprogram ourselves to have a true understanding that this is the day of our life. The existence, whatever existence was before this train stop. Some people say we knew exactly what we were getting into coming in here. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but maybe let's say we did. It'd be like a different existence, like in knowing what was going to happen, going into death. Oh, oh, how are you doing, Jack? Oh, I'm fine, but you know what? These are spiritual beings talking or whatever. Or I'm going to die, or I have to do this death thing. We have to go through this, and oh, what do you got? You've got Earth. Oh my God! Oh my God! You're going to Earth. You're going to do death on Earth. Yeah, death is this. We have this 80-year or 80-some year respite where we're not allowed to be fully connected to our spiritual selves, and you're going to do Earth? Oh my God. That's so damn hard. What era you go? 20th century? At least it's good TV like Alice and Happy Days, but then everything turns to shit in the that second millennium you'll experience. But so maybe they knew they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna die, and that's gonna be life on Earth, death. There's just as much merit to that, if not, if you're inner knowing, I'll tell you a lot more merit to just flip flopping everything, because everything's flip flopped. So anyway, guys, they always do the 3 steps, and if anybody wants to stick with me for a few more minutes, some people had some good comments, and I put a few more just to add to the Kennedy to Lincoln list. If you want to stretch it a little bit, and just some fun things. Somebody commented that, Matt, don't forget that Booth shot Lincoln in a booth. Booth shot Lincoln in a booth. If it was the only one by itself, but when it's the 51st thing, then it's all part of the reality script. And again, somebody could spend Just spend years on part two. How does it lay down the reality script? How does it do it? Do we have free will or not? All of this endless pondering in step two is probably exactly what it wants from us. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a very interesting experience we're having. We don't have to figure it all out. We don't have to know if it was Colonel Mustard in the study with a hammer or candlestick. We don't need to figure it out. Stop figuring it out. If you want to do it for fun, do it for fun. But don't forget step three. Number 52. President McKinley was assassinated in 1901. That screams 9/11 at me, but that's just, I have no reason to connect them other than the numbers. But somebody's pointed out it was with an Iver Johnson revolver. With an Iver Johnson, incredibly ties the name Johnson in to another ass in a nation. Incredible. Lincoln was watching a play. By the way, somebody pointed out it's called Our American Cousin. The play was called that he was watching. Most people aren't aware of this. I wasn't. Our American Cousin was a big play at the time, some sort of comedy. And note on that, it's not worth. I don't think it would be worth going over or reading. You can find the old manuscripts of Our American Cousin was big play at the time. Just the way, if I say like I know how the reality does business, there's no doubt there'd be things in there, the connections of some kind, truth drops, no doubt in my mind. But it wouldn't. I don't think there'd be anything monumental. I don't think it would be worth going over finding the old manuscript, which you can get, and which is available online. I looked at it briefly just for a few minutes this morning. I don't think it would be worth it. I don't think it would tell us anything we don't already know. I think whatever little truths we pull out of movies, and I think we're way advanced over that at this point. That was necessary, but in other words, it wouldn't be worth the 5 hours reading through Our American Cousin. Probably some sort of connection even in the title itself. Is that what it's called? Our American Cousin? Yeah. So I wouldn't bother, but I'm just saying, would anybody be surprised if we didn't find something major? Of course we probably would. So pointing out again that Lincoln was shot, in addition to the Centers for the Performing Arts, Lincoln was shot in a theater by an actor. I mean, just, obviously we know that, but come on. Come on. There's also a Lincoln to Kennedy penny, somebody said they kept coming across, which is very rare. It's Lincoln is on the penny, but I don't know if they did this just for a year or two after JFK's death, they put JFK's face or head like right in front of Lincoln's. So it's called a Lincoln to Kennedy penny, which I don't think I've ever seen, but maybe it's so small, Kennedy's head, you don't notice it. And of course it's not predictive programmer done before the events, but it could be a mockery or basically a little wink hint as to put the heads, two of the biggest presidents, two of the biggest fake events, put the heads right next to each other on the penny. There could be a reason for that, but in general, I didn't even know about the Lincoln to Kennedy penny. The Lincoln to Kennedy penny. The Lincoln to Kennedy penny. By the way, yeah, there was Bill Clinton. There's a Lincoln to Bill Clinton penny that was put out just for Arkansas. It has Bill Clinton's ass, big bulbous ass on it, instead of where JFK's face was. Most people don't know that, in addition to the Bill Clinton sex shops that are all around Little Rock. You can include the list if you want to make the connections and keep going and really go loose connections. You just can pull it into Ronald Reagan's fake ass in a nation attempt. Reagan said he had a bad feeling or premonition just about a week or two before the Hinckley event. And same thing, Kennedy had a premonition, Lincoln had a premonition, Reagan had a premonition. Guess where he was the day of or the day before the premonition? Lincoln went to the Ford's Theater. Sure. Yeah. He said something like, it's on record, I just got the sense, that the hair stood up on the back of my head, I just got the sense that if somebody or an ass in a nation really wanted to get to a president or get to me, they could. Just got that sense. And then the Hinckley thing happened. Yeah, but that implies what Reagan's premonition applies more of the that's the movie with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich. John Malkovich constructs a plastic gun to get it through the metal detector to kill the president, and Clint Eastwood's on the security detail or the Secret Service line of fire. In the line of fire, I mean, that's Reagan's premonition is more like what that movie presents. If somebody is really brilliant and really wants to work hard, they probably could get to me. And he didn't feel safe. That was Reagan's premonition after the Ford's Theater. Yeah, sure. But who? But was it a John Malkovich, an and completely brilliant ex dark ops, black ops operator, that Malkovich who could construct his own plastic gun? Who got to him? Did it take a genius? No, it just took Hinckley Jr. Finished his stack of pancakes. He slathered himself up in syrup and rubbed the pancake onto his chest to get the syrup. And then I just think I'll go get ready. And he walked right up to the rope with his 22 caliber, and just Reagan came right through, and he just that it, you don't not only do you not have to be a John Malkovich genius, they just show you any old moron can get to the president if Hinckley could. That's why it's such a joke. Was he just waiting outside? The Secret Service wouldn't screen anybody or push people back. He just what do you do? It's this tunnel. They said it was a special. See, this adds to the ridiculousness of the story. The Hilton, I believe it was a Hilton. It's always a Hilton. The 2001: A Space Odyssey, the Millennium Hilton across from which is the obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey. The building closest to Ground Zero without any sort of damage, closest to the rubble, is the monolith from 2001. So now you have, I'm pretty sure it's the Hilton. They built a special tunnel so to protect presidents. See, this is the way the script does business. I didn't even talk about this. I have, I guess, years ago. But so the Hilton builds the only hotel in D.C. to build a special tunnel to protect presidents. The only one that went out of its way to protect presidents is the location where the president gets winged. Really? I mean, it's a script. It's a joke. Do I think if you go there, there's really a tunnel they built? Yes. I don't know how it does business. We don't exactly know, but let's not again, remember step 3. So there's a tunnel, and then the limo is just a few feet outside. They just put ropes up and let Hinckley come up. He's just, I'm waiting for the president. I mean, give me a break. What was he even doing there? They'd have pushed him back 50 feet. It's a joke. Is this guy saying he doesn't believe in the Reagan? No, I don't. What's Reagan? An actor. So we have that 6 degrees or 7 degrees of Kevin's bacon tied in again. Reagan's an actor. Booth's an actor. I mean, come on. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Guys, in the future, I'm going to talk about Vanessa VA's theories again, about the retrocausality, about people in the future that have probably already taken the vax, already committed themselves to living life a certain way. And she's presenting, in the end of her videos, these songs that there's a truth that flows through these songs. And I want to talk about in the future how I potentially think that's happening, and relates that to why no new great art is able to be created today. Movies, music, whatever. All new great art is completely dried up on purpose. I think they can create it. The second great example people use is, Matt, this reality and the dark ones, they have no creative power. Maybe that's true, but they could go hire you, or go, not you, but there's a lot of real people with creative power they could just go hire to create the next Forrest Gump. I've said many times, if you put Greg and I in a room, a cheap hotel room, a Motel 6, by the morning we could have 3 Star Wars, much better than what Jar Jar Abrams and Rian Johnson, there's Johnson again, Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, we would do much, much better in one night, laying out the storyboard for the last 3 Star Wars than what they were able to produce. That's not arrogant or anything. What they produced was absolute. You could get monkeys to throw darts at cinematic scenes that played out in the Bold and the Beautiful and the Young and the Restless over 40 years, and the monkeys would just throw darts, and put that into a sci-fi genre, and it would be better than what Jar Jar Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and Rian the Johnson came up with. It was, of course, it was made poor on purpose. It was meant to destroy Star Wars. There's a reason. So they don't want the new art to reflect reality. Great art reflects metaphysical reality. Great art has truth drops. Great art tells you about who you are. If the artist isn't aware of it, it flows through the artist. I experienced this myself when I wrote the book Quantum of Conscience, which is a fun fiction book about lucid dreaming and time travel, I'm not trying to push the book. I'll show you my Smashwords royalty from last month, September, $2.40. Smashwords royalties. I make more money on Amazon. I'll get uh, $10 a month from Amazon or whatever. But I'm just anyway. So I experienced it myself about the nature of time. It just kind of came to me. There's no such thing as time. I was kind of in a trance state, listening to a certain type of music. Time is all laid out on top of each other, just where you drop the needle on the record. All the songs are all laid out. All time is just all on top of each other. This is how retrocausalities are possible. And there's a lot of truth about the nature of who you are that came from music and movies, and Vanessa VA plays a song at the end of her videos. And even though you'd say, well, the Honey Drippers, and that's Robert Plant, and Jimmy Page has ties to Crowley, and that's the dark reality, they would never maybe the truth is delivered because they have to. Maybe maybe there are two messages that come out at the same time. It's all about the interpretation. Again, that's step two. We don't need to examine forever how a dark figure like Robert Plant, who's connected with Jimmy Page and Crowley in some way, and bought Crowley's residence and all this, how uplifting metaphysical truth about the nature of who you are could come out of that sort of music. That could never come from BMG or Sony Records or Warner Brother Records, Matt. That's the dark side. No, Dances with Wolves came from Hollywood too. But let's not get caught up in step two. It happens. We don't know how it happens. But now it's not happening. Notice anything that Vanessa VA is going to play, I bet isn't going to be new. They've shut this off. They've turned the spigot off. Maybe the reason they don't let any kind of creative person or real person create a movie or even TV shows or music, and nothing is good anymore. Everything is being destroyed because for some reason now they want the spigot cut off, or they don't allow great works of art that have to deliver truth. They almost seem to go hand in hand. A great work of art in any genre or in any segment of media probably delivers a metaphysical truth or a spiritual truth. They probably go hand in hand. It potentially the great work of art cannot ever be a great work of art, or would never be considered a great work of art by real human beings if it didn't deliver a degree of truth. So if you don't want any more truth delivered, and you have the ability to control that now, as the dark assholes potentially do, because what they do, they control the music industry, they control television, they control movies, then you just completely don't let anything good out, because the next Forrest Gump movie would have too much truth in it, and there'd be people like us that would see through it and notice it. I'm not sure exactly what would tell us that we don't already know, but to me, when she's talking about the truth flowing out through, say, songs, I think, well, maybe this is tied to why nothing good can be produced today. And the old explanation that the reality and the minions have no creative ability, it doesn't fly, because they could just, let's say I wasn't involved in this truth pursuit. I still believe I'd be a real human being, still working at the insurance company. I would still have a light left inside. They could come to me and I could do it for them. There's still real people that could, creative people that they could hire. See, I would take their money. If I didn't go down this path and didn't realize certain things about reality. I was still working for the insurance company, for example, today. Had a bunch of kids, had to pay the bills on a McMansion, had two Audi leases and all this stuff for the big family, and in the middle of the rat race still, which was maybe instead of zigged, I zagged, and I'm here. But I would think if Disney came to me and said, "We need you to, we'll pay you $500,000 to write a script for the next three Star Wars," I think I could do it, whether it be this Matt or that Matt. So they can go to real human beings. That they're not, they're capable, they're able to do this. And there's a lot of real human beings that still are in the matrix that'll take the money. So saying they don't have the creative power, that doesn't fly. They seem to have the ability now to not let it get out, or not, or they for some reason they're at a precipice, or they can't afford any more truth to get out, because it potentially is true that great art is attached to truth. They are linked together, and there is basically what I'm saying is no real human will ever look upon a form of media as great without there being a truth attached to it. So initially, we watched Dances with Wolves. I watched it. Oh, I remember I watched it. I think it was still at Penn State, and it was just about a guy that joined the Indians. I didn't see any truth in it, but it was still a great movie to me. Maybe parts of me, uh, you know, found the truth in it without the conscious mind or frontal lobes or part of the brain associated with ego had no idea the truth in it, but the truth was still in it, even though I didn't recognize it the first time I watched it. So if they are allowed to contractually, whatever, I don't know how to put this, to make sure now there is no truth in anything, then music, art, movies, TV, all forms of media are going to stink. And it is just that's basic. And it's not only that, the art that had the incredible truth, like the original Star Wars, they're not just not producing the new stuff, they're out to destroy the old stuff. That's why these reviewers, one guy's interested in comic books, his name's Nerdrotic, I pick on him time to time, and the Critical Drinker, I like his movie reviews, but these guys, they don't get it. They literally believe that they just the same old tired excuses that Disney isn't paying attention to the fans, and for some reason the is it Bob Iger, or I don't even know who the CEO of Disney is. When I was there, it was a guy named Eisen, I think, or whatever. It doesn't matter. He gave complete control over to that little tool, Rian Johnson, and nobody. Then once he got complete control, he was handed the scepter. Nobody could offer any advice, and he ruined Star Wars. Oh yeah, their whole the next 30 years of Star Wars is on the line with potentially 30-40 billion dollars in profits and revenue, and they're just going to give it to this little Rian Johnson, and if he screws it up, he screws it up, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And these guys that do the movie reviews believe that. It's so important. See, it's not important. It's if the world and the economy and businesses like Disney really needed to make profits, weren't part of the creepy system, then if it worked the way we thought it worked before we understood certain things about the nature of reality itself, then it would be so important that they would come in and Rian Johnson would produce The Last Jedi, it was before The Rise of Skywalker, and they would just say, in fact, it would have happened to Force Awakens with Jar Jar Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy. The top executives would have gone, this is horrible. You just copied the first movie. This little BB-8 rolls around. This is R2-D2. This is the same. You put this Rey, this young, attractive white girl who looks kind of good, but she has no soul. She has no likability. She just jumps in the Millennium Falcon and flies loop-de-loop better than Han Solo ever did. This is horrible. We're not going to go out with this and risk the next 50 years of Star Wars. Well, what do you mean? We'll be $150 million in the hole if we delay it 8 months, and it doesn't matter how much it costs. This is Star Wars. The next 100 years are on the line. We just bought it from Jar Jar Lucas. We're not going out with this. It would be this simple. Nobody would go out with that turd. And it doesn't matter if the cost overruns or they have unlimited money. They put it out, which to any fool with a degree of common sense, tell the Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, these idiot movie reviewers, it had to have been made bad on purpose. And why would you make it bad on purpose? Don't they need profits? No, they don't need profits. If they're tied into a system that creates money on a keyboard, whatever they want, no, they don't need profits. Destroying a human being and reducing a human being to a lower frequency down towards the abyss is far more important than profits. They'll just say, what did you lose by putting out that stinker? Well, we lost. Disney came to the Illuminati window and said, we lost $800 million or billions. Okay, it's already in your account. We've made you whole again. Now go away now. It would be that simple. Whatever they, and then they go out of their way to antagonize fans. And Rian Johnson's like, the fans don't understand. I understand Star Wars. The fans don't. Nobody would ever do that if anything was real. Of course it's made bad on purpose. There's only one possible reason why it would be made bad on purpose. To destroy the great or good message, the real metaphysical truth that came from the original. That's why all of these, that's why if I want a prediction, Matrix 4 will follow the same script. I believe it will just destroy the first three. just like the Star Wars, just like new Star Trek, just like Prometheus to Alien, just like the new Terminators with a transgender Terminator that doesn't look very scary. Even a 4-year-old kid wouldn't run from that boy girl thing. And then and the other that's the good Terminator. The bad Terminator in Dark Fate, I think it's called, where they brought back Linda Hamilton. The bad Terminator just looks like some college kid you could beat up in one hand tied behind your back while you're going through the lunch line where Blue Tarski in front of you shoving everything into his mouth. He just doesn't. He looks like some college kid. You just beat him up with one. It doesn't look like a Terminator or anything scary. Even the real pretty blonde girl was Terminator 3, I believe, with Claire Danes. She was. I mean, that wasn't a good casting, but she was decent. It was believable, at least a Terminator. But they should have used Mr. Bean or something as a Terminator. That's how scary this young guy is, and the transgender boy girl that's the good Terminator. I haven't seen it, but you're not supposed to be scared of her, but you want to root for her as much as you want to root for a ham sandwich. So it's obviously they're trying to destroy all art, everything on purpose, all even sports, putting in the replay on everything. In baseball, there's a box and shows you balls and strikes, and it takes out the human element of arguing with an umpire. And replay at the NCAA was destroyed. NBA, the tournament, the basketball tournament, 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, when the last few seconds, somebody reached in, the defender reached in, guys just dribbling up, the guards just dribbling up, maybe 10 seconds left. I don't remember. It was a small university, had a chance to win a national championship. Maybe Butler. Guys dribbling up, the defender reaches in, knocks it away out of bounds. Now, on any playground anywhere in the world for 50 years, you're just dribbling up and you're looking at the defense, and the guy reaches in and knocks it out of bounds. Well, it's your ball still. You go get it, and in every playground, 100% of the time, that's what's happened. That is the game of basketball for 100 years. But they look at replay, and the guy knocks it out, and when he knocks it out, the guy, he's just dribbling up a guard, just slowly. It maybe grazed off his finger, so the other team gets it and the game's over. Nobody wants that level of replay. It's to destroy the game on purpose, subtly. That's what all this is for. Anyway, I don't know. Rambling. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to always do the 3 steps. The YouTube channel won't probably do it. They'll be happy to run around and do the same old hamster wheel and be played and used and abused just like we always have. So you apply the 3 steps to what you watch. That's an interesting trick. Why would it want me tricked in that regard? Oh, yeah, it's interesting to go step 2, but what does that really tell me about myself? You know the answer, but it can't be said enough. Can't be said enough. You need to take that mindset into the day for the day of your life. When the time of the day of my death, the day of my life, you need to have that complete mindset so nothing can touch you.